that
I'm gonna
though.
do it.
You can do that. I think that'd be great.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. It is finally Tuesday, guys. It is finally Tuesday. Thank you all so much for joining Transformative Talk with Coach V, the evening edition. We are live on this evening. I know it has been a long, long time, but we are going to try to get back into these lives and just have some real conversations about some real things that we need to talk about that are often overlooked, or we don't want to dig into those things, but we're going to do that. So we're starting off here in July. It's recognized, it's actually Black and Indigenous People of Color Mental Health Awareness Month. And I didn't want to just leave it in the month of May, which is often acknowledged as Mental Health Awareness Month. I think that it's very important that we talk about the fact that our mental health matters. And based on however it is that you were raised, whatever you were taught by your mom, grandmother, relatives, or what have you, to not talk about those things, we don't get help about those things. We want to demystify all of that, debunk all of those myths starting today. Going forward, we are going to start dealing with those things. And so I could not think of a better way to start off this month but to have my friend, my big sister, phenomenal author, book coach, can help you organize your life, your thought process, your mindset, everything and then some. Author LaToya Nicole, thank you so much for joining me on this evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back, actually.
Welcome back. Right, I know. Thank you for having me back and having me, especially now when you're talking about mental health, because I published a book about my struggles with mental health. So that meant a lot to me that you would, have me on your platform, considering I'm not like a therapist to give you like expert opinions, but I can talk about my experience. So thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that was kind of the original thought behind doing this. I didn't want it to be therapists and the professional opinion, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because we want, I encourage that if anybody feels that they need that type of help, absolutely to go and get it. But I wanted to have conversations with women that have actually walked through that fire, that have actually gone through that experience, and then come out on the other side of it. I wanted people to see the real faces behind that depression, that anxiety, those that walk through it, and see that it is possible to overcome it and walk in that light. So I want you to just take a minute to um, tell us about yourself. I would love for people to know about your new book, Alone in the Dark, and what prompted you to write this book at this time in your life.
Okay. Well, first thing, hi everybody. My name is LaToya Nicole. I am an author. I'm a book coach. I think Coach B mentioned that. The name of my company is SOLO Coaching and Consulting and Unaltered Voices Publishing. I am a belief therapist, so I have skill and training in cognitive behavior techniques. And then, like I said, I'm a publisher also. I wrote Alone in the Dark. Well, can I back up a little bit, do you
Absolutely.
mind? Okay. Okay, so Alone in the Dark is about my battle with depression, right? But Alone in the Dark is not my first book. I've been in several
Yeah.
anthologies. I've been in a lot of them. I've been in more than I've actually publicized. So what I did was I left little pieces of that story in each anthology. I
Mm.
left pieces of my struggles emotionally and mentally in each anthology until I got to the point where I was like, it's time to go forward with telling the full thing. So you got a piece of the puzzle in those books, and then now you get the full story in Alone in the Dark. And the reason why I wanted to do this now was because if you remember when the pandemic hit, people were struggling. They were struggling mentally a lot because I mean, I was getting phone calls because even back then I was very transparent about what I had gone through. So
Mhm.
I was like, you know what? As much as I go on like Facebook and Twitter and TikTok, I'm checking the temperature, and it's a lot of talk about depression, which at first you didn't hear that a lot, Coach V.
Right.
Like people were not admitting that at all. So
Mm-mm.
just to hear people opening the door a little, I said, let me go ahead and publish this book and go on in this door and then start talking about it and telling people who may look at me and think I have no problem. Like, oh, she was well put together. For the moment right now, but I have problems. Okay,
That
so
part.
yes, that's why I wanted to go ahead and share my story, because I thought it was just important for people to know that everyday people they see writing books and being visionaries, getting a group of people together to write a book and life coaching. We're human and we have problems and we have struggles. We wouldn't be the coaches we are if we didn't.
Absolutely. And that's the thing I think people need to realize, like the field that we're in and we've chosen is based on like the experiences that we've been through. Who better to be able to help coach you through something than someone who's been through it. So, we take all of those struggles, all of those things that we've been through, of course get proper training and guidance, but that's how we're then able to help coach others because we know what it is to have been in that place, to walk in those shoes, so to speak. And what I loved, something that you said was how with each anthology that you participated in, like you left like a little, little breadcrumbs. You told a little bit of your story in each anthology that you were a part of. Do you think that that was something that helps you even in your your continued healing process by, telling a little bit at a time? Do you think that's something that helped you along the way?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. If anyone visited my blog, the URL is
Right.
healthrough.net. So yes, absolutely. I remember it was one in particular that the whole time I was writing it, Coach, I was weeping the whole
Mm,
time. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's more stuff just coming out. I'm just gonna let it flow. I'm not gonna stop this because we have a bad problem with suppressing stuff. Like we gotta be strong. I'm not gonna cry right now. I'm gonna hold it in. No, let that out and let it
right.
flow. So absolutely, more healing. There was more things that more layers were peeled back as I was writing because more memories were being erected that I had
Mm,
suppressed. So as the memory was erected, there were a couple of times I had to go to therapy during writing
right.
times. So, so yes, it really helped because one thing about our mind is that when we've been through a lot of trauma and we've experienced these hardships that leave us in these depressive states, we continuously live from the subconscious. But
Yes.
when a memory is erected, that means you brought it to consciousness and then you can alter it. So at those moments when that stuff was coming up that I completely had forgotten, I was like, oh my God, that didn't happen. I could go and schedule my session with my therapist and write it in my journal and then we could talk about it during therapy. So more healing, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that people, and I don't mean to keep using that same phrase, but I want those that are watching or listening or may catch this later to understand like the process of it is it's when you make a conscious decision, one that you desire to heal, you want to be healthy and heal and whole. It takes that going back to some maybe unpleasant stuff, or like you said, as you're going through the process of writing, things that you discover. that you did not realize really had such an impact on you, or this particular thing triggering you in a way um, that you anticipated. And so it becomes a little bit different from the the normal healing process, especially when you're journaling, and because one, you're bearing your soul, you're telling your story, and for those of us that desire to tell it from a very authentic, real, and raw place, it is some things that you did not expect or anticipate. It's like you know your story, but when you actually are writing it, when you start reading it, it's like, oh. And so, like you said, you do, and you had to walk me through that just in my process of writing my book. I was like, wait a minute, this is not normal. Like, this is weird. And so once you kind of learn the process and embrace it, I told you, it's like, now I know what to anticipate in the future as I write. Like, I know how to care for myself. And that's what you find. And even in that process, that's how you can then even help other people. Like, when we encourage you to journal, when we encourage you to sit and journal, you know, those things that are coming up and out, that's all a part of the healing process. And can really help you to see some things in a way that you may not have seen them before. And sometimes, oftentimes, arrive at your own conclusions. Arrive at the answers that you're oftentimes seeking for yourself. I know in writing this book, even though it's not your first book, but really sharing your journey with depression in your book, Alone in the Dark. What is what is something that you really want people to know when they read your book, or to really understand when they read this book?
Um, Something that I want people to understand when they read Alone in the Dark. Well, you are not alone. I need y'all to understand you are not alone. Understand that you can come back from anything.
Mm,
Anything. Um, and then the fact that once you begin your journey and you begin changing the narrative, it will change your life.
absolutely, absolutely. And I know one thing that I've learned just even in being around you. I met LaToya because we've spoken at events. What has it been, like a couple of years ago?
It
Um,
has.
and I met LaToya at this event, and I remember, I think we kind of talked briefly about, I wanted to write a book, and LaToya was like, "Well, I'm getting ready to start my own publishing company." I was like, "What?" Here she is,
Here I
my
am.
here she is, Unaltered Voices, and it was just, you know, you're not gonna meet anybody more real or genuine or authentic as I've, met in LaToya. And very unselfish. When you are in a world, where some of us feel like we have to be so competitive and we can't collaborate and work with one another. Even in the sense that, we're all dealing with these different issues, and seeking healing, dealing with our own mental health issues. It takes us either one or two ways. We're either very withdrawn, or we're very aggressive. We're very, we can be almost nasty and mean to each other, when really, these are things that we need to, um, just deal with. It can be such a beautiful thing when you can collaborate with one another, because what you find out is that you all are really going through the same things, just to different, in different levels and different degrees, but you're
Right?
able to deal with those things. And like you said, you learn that you're not by yourself. When you start looking at each other and hearing each other's stories, I just remember when we were doing the first anthology, and as we all kind of got to know each other, it was like we all really think alike. We all have had the same, struggles and battles. But coming together collectively, this is how we were able to overcome it. And then
Right.
this is how we desire to share and help other people. So it ends up just being such a beautiful thing that it's my hope that other people will allow themselves to experience,
Mm-hmm.
and then be able to walk, in their boldness, or walk in their greatness and what they have to offer.
Yeah.
Um, I know one thing I wanted to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
is it's kind of a twofold question. The first thing was, what was the moment, or to you, what was the pivotal moment that you made a decision to say, you know what, enough is enough. I got to fight for myself. My mental health is the most important thing to me. What is, or if it wasn't just one, what was the most pivotal or alarming thing to you?
Mm. Can I say it? Standing at the gas station pumping gas with thoughts of drinking
Mm,
it. Yeah, it was a lot going on in my life. Um, if I'm not, yeah, actually a flood had swept through
mm-hmm.
and claimed everything that I worked hard for. And I have a daughter, I have one child, and it's just me and her. So everything
Yeah.
I built it. Nobody helped me build nothing, okay? So, um, dealing with that, being in a position to just talk to people I thought I could trust about how I felt and having them minimize the experience, and then the betrayal of family
Mm,
still. Because it's like, okay, I'm in my 30s. Y'all still doing this stuff? It's just too much.
yeah.
And it was just too much. And it's like, I felt like nobody understood. Because at that moment, in me going through that, so much childhood trauma stuff erected during that time.
Yeah.
Because before that, I wasn't seeing therapy, or had a coach. I did after that moment though, and I have been since. But before that, I wasn't, really. There was a way they said, you heal, but that
Yes.
wasn't really working for me. I'm not gonna go there, but I do talk about it in my book. But that was the moment where I was like, if I don't work through this, I'm not gonna make it through this.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. If I don't work through this, I won't make it through this. And
yeah,
that has to be our posture. That has to be our heart in that moment. Like, if I don't do this, nobody else is gonna do this. If I don't stand up and fight for myself, nobody else will do it. First, I want to say thank you for being so honest and transparent and sharing that, because I know that was not easy. It doesn't matter how many times we may say it never gets any easier. It doesn't matter, even if we are somewhat at a good place, it still is not easy. So I honor you just in being willing to answer the question in that way. Thank you. Thank you, LaToya, for that. You don't know how much, and I mean, we talked about some things,
yeah.
but it just, I want, it is really my hope and my desire and my prayer that when people hear, regardless of who it is that you listen to or who you hear, tell stories, that there's something that really pricks your heart to understand, like you were saying earlier, just because you see us post, you see us smile, that we can sit here and say we're best-selling authors, that we're this and that we're that, there is a lot behind the pictures. There's a lot behind the posts. Like, that 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 is not even like I tell people, if I really want to be honest, LaToya, I don't want to do that.
Oh
I
no.
would be fine not doing that. You know what I'm saying? But like somebody said in a post one day, your voice has an assignment.
There you go.
So when I hear that, when I hear Coach LaToya in my ear, I'm like, okay, well, we gonna get to posting something because she's told me what my business is for the day. But
Yeah.
I just want people to see, like, there are struggles that we deal with on a regular basis, and it's not easy. Um, and doing things like this is still yet a part of our healing process. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that it's over. It doesn't mean that we're good. It doesn't mean that we don't have some difficult moments. Um, it means that we're continuously doing the work. And by the sharing, it's for me, I don't know about for you, but for me, it's like a level of accountability that
Mhm.
I have because I know that others are listening, that they're watching, and I want to be honest and I want to be transparent about, you know what, this is a struggle for me. This ain't easy. You know,
Right.
I don't particularly care for doing this. I don't particularly like taking pictures, but you know, and that's what really that day I was just like I was feeling all of this stuff and I just posted it and I was like, you don't even really have a picture. And then I was like, that's because you really don't like to take pictures, Vanessa. And I was like, I really gotta think about this as to why. So now it's like I make myself do selfies, take pictures. I make myself get on TikTok, which Vanessa at 50 years old, that is not my thing. But I know that if I can show the courage and be bold, it'll give somebody else the courage to be bold because I know the things that like I hear you in my head. And it's like I have to think about what was that moment for me that made me say, you know what, you got to step up, you got to step out. Somebody needs to hear what it is that you have to say. You know, what is it that you have to offer? You know, because we all had that moment that is like, you know what, this is literally for real, do or die.
Yeah.
Not only just for yourself, but like you said, for your daughter. You
Mhm.
know, how do you think it has impacted your relationship with your daughter, or how has it have you seen it change as you have continued your healing journey?
Well, it was a struggle for her in the beginning because she knew me as her friend.
Mm,
Prior to me healing, my wounded inner child wanted to be loved and wanted a friend and someone that, I'll have by my side all the time because I didn't have that. So when I
that's
had
good.
my daughter and bonded with her, it was my wounded inner child bonding. So
That is
she
so
was
good.
used to a certain thing then, and then when I started healing, it was like I'm not doing things different because now I'm the grown up, I'm the parent, I'm parenting you now. So it was hard for her to make that transition, and then because I had predisposed her to depression because I was depressed my entire pregnancy. Um, it,
Oh, that's
yeah,
good.
it wasn't something talked about back then because while I was pregnant, I slept a lot because I was depressed. I know that now, but back then I didn't really know the names of what was going on with me. And I was called lazy every day and, and
Wow.
told that you're going to have a little lazy little baby. You know what I'm saying? Black household. This, this is why when you start that healing journey, if you got to detach, you better detach because
That's
that
it.
stuff is gonna send you sinking even further. But it was a struggle at first navigating and her learning me because I was learning me.
Yes.
I didn't who I am today. I didn't know her. I
That's
had to get to know
right.
her. I mean, I didn't know her at all. I knew survival mode Toya. I knew wounded inner child Toya. I didn't know Toya who was healing and just loved nature, loved to be outside, and was very
Mhm.
creative, and had all these beautiful dreams that told me things to go study. I didn't know her. So I was getting to know her too.
Yeah.
But she ended up battling depression for a period, but because I was already equipped on how to handle it, I immediately got on it. She's
Awesome.
doing much better today. We have an open line of communication, healthy communication. Um, we hang out, we play, we go to the park, we have fun, and I let her be the person that she is. I don't put my fears upon her. I don't have her coming in agreement with my beliefs anymore. I let her live her life and determine what is best for her. Because what was best for me is not going to be best for my children because they're living in a completely different time. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I love that, because it's like, she's able to learn from your example, but then, like you said, you were equipped to be able to help her navigate those waters. So it's it's like, the things that we go through, they're not for us. You didn't spend time feeling guilty or feeling bad. It's like, no, we gotta get in there. We gotta take action, and help her or show her how to fight. Where I was not given that type of thing, like you said, we don't talk about it, we don't discuss it, but I'm gonna get in here and show her how to fight, show her how to handle these things. Um, because now at this stage, you can the relationship has changed at that point. So it's helping her to make those decisions and, teach her. And, every time I see you post something about her, I'm just like, that girl is going to outwork everybody. At this point, I'm just waiting for the storefront or the cooking show, whichever one comes first.
It's coming.
Whichever one, I'm all here for it. If you don't
It's,
know, if you have not seen, LaToya's daughter can bake, and I am a witness because I have tasted it. She
yes,
she is
yeah.
phenomenal. So whatever it is she's doing in the future, it is gonna be well deserved and well earned. But I think that it's so important, just to what you were saying, that we have to be honest and tell our children about our struggles and the things that we go through. We need to be very honest. We don't need to sit here and act like nothing has happened and we don't have issues and we don't have problems. You
Right.
know, I think that we set our children up for failure in that way when we're not honest. If we can't show our vulnerable side, if we can't show, the frailties that we have, then we're teaching them not to be human. And that's a big mistake that, we're teaching them to be insensitive. We're teaching them not to have compassion. They won't know how to show themselves grace, let alone anybody else.
Right.
And so when we can do that, I think that we put them in a far better position to be kind to themselves, because what they deal with is, what they deal with in today is, probably nothing compared to what we dealt with, you know. And so we gotta be able to put them in the best position possible. And I think by being honest, especially as women of color, putting them in a position to, I know that's what you see. I know that's what you probably heard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, s- you can try that, but how is that really gonna work? Is that really working for you? It's what you see, something that you feel like you can sustain. And so I think
Yeah.
having that open line of communication, being honest, being transparent, really sets them up for um, a far better future than hiding all of those things from them. And then them finding out piece by piece, finding out later on in life. It's like by that time it's kind of difficult and a little late,
Yeah.
to because now you got to undo all of that stuff. So,
Seriously. Like, oh my God.
Why did then it's almost like, you almost, if you're not careful, then it can lead to a resentment, because then that's kind of the process that we've gone through. It's like we find out all this stuff, and it's almost like you got to heal from the resentment of like being lied to,
Yes, yes,
and or being deceived when, the person's intent may have been to protect you, but were you really protected? Were they really doing what was best for you, in that moment? So,
right.
um, I know that there are several probably myths and things that we probably hear a lot of times just in conversation, or things that we may joke about, just, things that we know that we were raised with. But what do you think, based on your experience, either like personal or just in your journey as a coach and author, and just having interactions with people or things that you may have heard or seen, what do you think the biggest myth about mental health? What do you think the biggest myth that needs to be debunked? The biggest thing that really needs to be addressed?
Oh, the biggest. Oh, that needs to be debunked. Let me make sure I'm clear and loud. Can you hear me well? um, honey, that people who suffer from mental health problems is that the weakness, that they're weak.
Come on. Can you please talk about it?
That one right, that's the one. I can't even go on and say nothing else about no, like I don't have any other ones. Let me just put it like that.
That's
That's
but
the
that's
one
that's
because we have grown so accustomed that if we hold it all in, we don't tell nobody. If we, don't look like what you're going through, it happens in this house, stays in this house.
come on.
And we hold on to that stuff and we think we are so strong. But then the moment we meet somebody that wants to talk about how they're feeling, you're seeing how they're feeling, or you may go to the house and the house is a mess and they're just losing their grip. You feel like that's weak. But I made a post, I can't remember when, it may have been yesterday, that it takes an incredible amount of strength to pull yourself out of mystery dark places.
Come on here.
An incredible amount. It takes strength to break, to just break, to just
That's
just
it.
let it all fall apart. It takes strength, and that's the point I had to get to as well. I just had to let it go,
Hmm.
because this whole what do they call it? Like this black woman thing that we're super
Oh,
women.
the strong black.
The
Got the
strong
S.
black woman
Yeah.
stuff. Like ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, ain't nobody got time for that because I get tired.
Okay.
Okay, I get tired and I go through stuff, and I'm not about to sit up here and pretend that I'm such a strong black woman that I can take care. I can go through this, that, and the other. Take care of house, take care of children, take care of partners, do this and do that, and I'm just good with it. No, no, that affects
That
my mental
part.
health because I'm not getting rest, and not getting rest is going to affect my mental health. When I got all this stuff going on, I'm probably not eating right, and I'm probably
Hmm.
eating the wrong stuff. So that's affecting my mental health. It's just a big old ball of my mental health is being affected, and I'm going to tell you about it because I'm not going to sit up here and pretend this is okay. But everybody can't handle that. Everybody can't handle you saying you're not okay because we've been so conditioned to take it the same way our ancestors were pregnant on plantations,
Yep.
had a hole dug so they can lay in it and so their belly can fit in the hole, and they got whipped
Come on.
and they were told to take it. That same stuff, we just keep passing that stuff down. But no, we're not doing that no more.
That's it.
We gotta take a stand. We gotta use our voices on every level and say,
Hmm.
I can't come to your event because I'm having a mental health day.
Basically.
Basically, I can't be a part of that because financially I can't do this right now. No son, no daughter. We can't do that right now because I need rest. I
Come on.
can't take you all over the town and I just got off work. I'm not cooking today. I just got off work. Okay? No. And it's not to say it's going to be like that all the time.
Right.
You know when you need to pull away. But women have been so conditioned that we have to take care of everything and we have to smile and look our best while doing it. The devil's a lie.
I know
No,
this.
I ain't doing it.
Listen, I
I
don't
ain't
have
doing
nothing else to add to that because that's the straight up truth. But and the thing about it, like you said, what I love that you said, LaToya, is a lot of people are not ready to really stand in that truth because we are so conditioned to people please, to be everything for everybody, and we are absolutely teetotally nothing to ourselves. And we
it.
think that when we go get our hair done or we go get our nails done, like that's relaxation. Now, for me, no, I'm sitting here like, how much longer is this gonna take?
Right.
Because I
Me
got other
too.
things to do. You know, so if we're not taught to care for ourselves, like you said, no, that is a sentence. It doesn't need any kind of anything, no periods, no exclamation points. It's a complete sentence.
That's it.
No,
No.
I owe you a reason why. You know, it's unnecessary. And so we've got to learn to, if it means, you know what, I'm taking today, I'm sleeping today. I'm taking
Yeah.
today, I'm gonna take a nap. We have to learn to care for ourselves because this perception, God in heaven, I don't know. I mean, I understand where it comes from, but we have worn it like a badge of honor and we have spent more time dishonoring ourselves by trying
Absolutely.
to do that. And it's worn us down. We have all these health issues, all these problems, our own mental health issues. We don't know how to ask for help. We don't know how to surround ourselves with people that we can lean on and say, you know what, today I'm really struggling. Today is a really hard day for me. You
Yeah.
know, just to have that encouragement because we feel like you said, we got to do everything ourselves.
Yeah.
So if I reach out for help, if I say I'm tired, if I say that I can't, then I'm weak. Then
Yeah.
I'm not a good mother. I'm not a good sister. I'm not a good friend. I'm not a good this. I'm not a good that. Who told you that? Who
Right.
said that? And so I 1,000% agree with that statement. It takes more strength to admit that you can't. It takes more strength and courage to say, you know what, I'm tired. I'm not able to. It takes more courage and strength, like you said, to just let it all fall apart because it's gonna fall apart anyway. You're
Eventually.
already, the train is already off the rails.
Right. Right.
So,
Gonna be
and
crash and burning next.
exactly, it's bound
Yeah.
to happen. It's bound to happen. And so, just taking the time to just say, I'm taking this off. I'm taking this out of my bag. I can't do this. If
Right.
you really, if this is something that's that important, it's you got to advocate for yourself. You have to care for yourself. And I know that we hear this said so many times, but we never implement it. And if we implement it, we're not consistent and we don't enforce it. We may do it one or two times. We may reach out to somebody and ask for support or help, but we don't do it consistently. And I think it's important to have somebody to help hold you accountable. That there's a person that checks in and say, you know what, how are you really doing?
Yeah.
You know, what's
A
really going
safe
on?
place.
Yeah, that's your safe place. Even if
Because
it's
everybody's not safe. And that's why a lot of people don't want to share and talk about how they feel too. Because everybody's not a safe place. Because if you can come to me and pour all your problems on me, but when I come to you and girl, you'll be all right, you're not safe. You're not safe.
can you please say that again for the
Mm-mm.
people in the back?
Yeah, not safe at all. I mean, because think about it. can you go to the same people that come to you with their
Hmm.
issues? Can you go? And most of the time you can't, because because some of us have created this persona that we are strong and we can be there for everybody. So when you actually need a moment, they're like, "What's wrong with you? What's your problem?" You know, they
Hmm.
do that to you because that's the persona that we, created for ourselves. Like, I'm the strong.
Yeah,
Some of us really do. We really do. We try to be all things to all people, and that is dangerous.
it
That
is.
is dangerous, okay? But then there are some of us that's like, here and there people will call us and talk about their problems, and I may be having a problem, but can I contact that same person without them um, invalidating my feelings?
Yeah.
Anyone who responds a certain way when you're trying to open up, because it takes strength to open up.
Oh
It
yeah.
takes strength to tell somebody, I'm hurting right here and I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm going to lose it. It takes strength. But when someone opens up and then you invalidate their feelings by saying some of the craziest stuff that we say,
Come on now.
that is not a safe place, because what's going to happen is you're going to shut the door and then they're going to suppress it and go back onto that downward spiral. And then
Mhm.
when you find out they sat in their car and drank themselves and took some pills and now they're dead, you wonder, well, what was wrong with her? Well, she was trying to talk to you, and you pushed her away with this ignorant stuff that you say. She was trying to talk to you, but those are the main ones at the funeral, hooping and hollering and laying over in the casket like, "Oh, my friend
Come
gone!
on.
I can't believe it."
Come
Shut
on.
up! Shut
Right.
up!
It's because it's too late at
Like,
that
for real.
point. Come on, LaToya. And that's the truth. And that's why, I did a podcast earlier this year and I talked about, checking your village. You need to inspect your village at some point because there may be people that are not safe. They're not watching out for you the way you watching out for them. And you know the emotional, mental, psychological, what state you're in. And
Yeah,
everybody cannot handle the weight of that. And you need to be mindful of that. So, like you said, when you're going around trying to be superwoman and be everything to everybody, and then see when you need somebody, they can't handle the weight of that because you set up this perception that you are all things to all people, and only God can be all things to all people. You doing something that is going to end up being a great noose around your neck.
yeah,
That you're not dealing with your issues, but you're trying to deal with everybody else's issues. And you being strong, first you need to look at the definition of that, because what's been displayed for you, was that really strength or was that survival, as you said earlier?
come
You
on.
the survival tactics, the things that people just did to survive. Do you
Yeah,
want to still survive or do you want to thrive? Do you truly want to live? Am I living?
yeah,
And you got to make sure that you have the right people around you to help foster that and nurture that. That not only are you giving it, but you're receiving. That they're pouring back into your vessel, your vase, your cup, your
yeah.
glass, whatever it is. Not
That's
that
it.
you sit up here, turning it up and there's nothing in there, but are you getting it back?
Right.
But that strength, admitting that, what, I'm not strong. I don't always have it together. There are days I don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah,
There are days that I don't want to talk to anybody.
yeah.
There are days when I don't want to be bothered.
Absolutely.
And that's the truth.
That's the truth.
But at the same time, I know if I don't show up for myself, nobody else is going to show up for myself. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm entitled to feel the way I feel, but I have to still make that choice. Like you said earlier, if I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. If I don't do this for me and my daughter, then who else is going to do this for me and my daughter?
Right.
I have to be honest about that. I can
Yeah,
feel how I feel, but I also got to have somebody that I hear in my head that says, but you can't stay here. You
absolutely.
gotta you gotta push beyond what you may feel like in the moment and keep going. And I
Yeah,
think the more that we talk about that, the I hope that people will understand. You
yeah,
do not. That is not a requirement to be superwoman, what Batwoman, whatever it is that you think that you know or that you've been taught. Because I was taught that. I mean, that's the way that I was raised. You were strong all the
Yeah,
time. You show your emotion, whatever it is, you deal with it and you keep it pushing. And I was about to raise my daughter the same way, and I caught myself one day, and I was like, I'm about to do damage to this girl.
yeah,
Stop
yeah,
it, and I had to stop it. Let her know it's okay to show emotion. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. But we're going to learn how to deal with those things. Because I was about to continue that curse with her. That's not good. So we got to recognize it. And it takes courage, like you said, to recognize it. But you need to get yourself around people that can help you and call you on your stuff.
yeah. And that's not always family. I want to make sure we put that out there because
That too.
if you was
Yes,
raised in the same family that traumatized you, why do you think you can heal there?
that's right.
I
You,
don't understand that part. So I
you
just
can't.
want to make sure that we know family ain't always your safe space, baby. They was raised under the same roof with you. Okay?
They heard the same things. They went through the same things. So they can't tell you how to deal with a situation at
Right.
all. You got to branch out beyond your family tree because your
Yeah,
family tree is some rotten fruit on it,
absolutely.
you know, and you gotta you gotta know that and deal with that, and it's okay, you know. They don't have to like it, they don't have to agree with it. Maybe they're not at the same place that you are, that they're ready to seek that healing
Right.
and be honest and real about what's going on. But if you don't make the decision and you continue to co-sign on that foolishness, then that's what you're going to always get. And you can't expect your life to be different, or the life of your family, or to even expect to make change in the world, because you're carrying on the same thing. You're speaking the same language. You're spewing out the same bile. So you have to make that decision. You know what? This has got to be different. What she thought was a strong woman, that's not my definition of a strong woman. That don't work for me. It doesn't work for me. And I thought that it did, but it's made me miserable. It's stressed me out. It's caused me to be in a state of depression and be in anxiety, be have anxiety. It's caused all these other things. This is not my truth. This is
Right.
not it for me. So when we're able to be strong and courageous enough to stand up and say that, then
Yeah.
that begins the road to healing. Because then it's like, oh, okay, now I got something to work with.
Yeah.
There's some things
Amen.
that can happen now. There's some things that can happen now.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
I just see, this is why I wanted it to be a free flowing conversation, because I knew you would say something that needed to really be understood. Because when it comes to talking about your mental health, you got to understand all the pieces. You definitely got to start with yourself, but you definitely got to look at who and what's around you, and your sphere of influence, and who's around you, what you look at on social media, what you listen to. All those things play a big role in it. And if you truly want to be on that journey to healing, then you have to make sure that you're being properly influenced, and educating yourself, as well, asking questions. If there's anybody, by the way, that's watching that has a question that you would like answered, go ahead and type it in, and we would, we'll be happy to answer the question. Coach LaToya will be happy to answer the question before we kind of close out here. Um,
I think research and educating ourselves is the part of healing we miss. I think
yes,
so because what we don't understand, it leaves us in the dark. But when you begin to understand what you're dealing with, it gives you the power to change the narrative. It can
absolutely,
be power or poison. Poison if you stay there are knowledgeable, but poison if you stay there unknowledgeable, but power when you can take that knowledge and apply it and heal and move forward. Yeah,
absolutely.
that's
And
the
that's
part
the
of
key.
healing we don't
Taking
do.
it and moving forward, you got to apply it to your life. And you
Yeah,
have to be consistent. and if you find that this is something that's not working for you, then continue to do your research. Continue to dig deep. Why is it affecting me this way? Why is it impacting me? Why is this not working? The deeper you dig, the more that you'll discover. And that's your power. Like you said, then you're taking your power back. The thing that had control over you, now you've got control over it, because you know what? I'm digging deep. I'm really looking into this thing. So it doesn't scare me anymore. I'm not afraid of this
Right.
anymore. So you've got to educate yourself. You
Absolutely.
don't go just by what we say and our
Mm-hmm.
experience, educate yourself. Look at
Mm-hmm.
it for yourself. You know your family history. You know what, people have been prone to and dealt with in the past. We hear these stories, we laugh about it, but there's something about that that's in you, and you
Mm-hmm.
need to look at that. And
Yeah.
so look at those things, and then get somebody that can help you be accountable, that you can talk to about these things,
Mm-hmm.
that can help be that voice of reason, or say, well, have you thought about this?
Right.
Have you looked into this?
Right.
And I think that that's helpful, because, things that we may not recognize is like, you know what, she's right.
Yeah.
I might need to, I need to evaluate that. And then that gets,
Mm-hmm.
why it's so important to journal and write things down. You can go back and read those things. You can dig deep into those things, and then if you decide that you need therapy or counseling, you have a good sketch
Yeah.
of these are things that are going on. When you get coaching, you can be really clear to some degree, as to things that you want to work on or discuss. um
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
um Someone asked, Constance, and I want to thank you for, I see everybody that's joining. Thank you
Oh,
all
people
for
are
joining
on.
us.
Hi, y'all.
I do see you guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and I see your comments. Thank you for engaging with us.
Thank
But we
you.
have Constance. She asked, when should mental health issues be addressed after realizing that they are real?
Immediately.
Immediately. And you have people constantly telling you about the different issues that you are dealing with. Well,
Immediately.
first, immediately, yeah. First of
Yeah.
all, um, and who are the people that are telling you these things? Is it professional? Have you had a assessment? Have you
Mm-hmm.
had an initial consultation? Um, you know, what are their credential? Have you been diagnosed with?
Right.
So one, look at who the people are that are telling you this. What do you know to be true about yourself or your family history? If it's family, consider the source. This is what LaToya was just sitting here talking about. Consider the
Mm-hmm.
source. If
Right.
you look at your family history, you may want to start asking questions. And LaToya, I want to get your opinion on this too. You may want to start asking certain questions of family members. Why do you think this is an issue for me? Have you noticed this type of behavior or issues with other family members? Because sometimes misery loves company,
Yeah.
and they want to try to push off on you something. You might want to just kind of look at those things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what do you
And,
tell me what you think?
and yeah, and that's great what you said. That's perfect. And studying the patterns. I got a notebook and I wrote down every family member on my mom's side. I wrote down their names and then I start putting different behavior patterns that I noticed about all of them. And then I made a comparison. Like if you gotta trace the origin, you gotta do it that do it that way. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
And for me, I saw a lot of similarities, okay? And I'm like, okay, this is what Toya's not about to do right here. But studying their patterns. A lot of family members, when they see that you are actually doing somewhat better than them in certain areas, they will project how they feel about themselves onto you. So don't let nobody be out here diagnosing you if you haven't gone to a medical professional to get a diagnosis.
Hmm.
Don't let them do that to you because that may not be your story. You may just have experienced a moment of sadness. hypothetically somebody said you must be depressed. You're a depressed person. Hypothetically, you could have just been experiencing a moment of sadness. You get out
Right.
of that quickly. It's when we experience sadness and we take up residency there, it transforms into depression. So
Right.
you may just be having a moment. Something may have happened with your child. You may have lost your job, or it may just be a moment.
Mhm.
Don't live there. You know, get some sleep, because I always encourage people to take you a nap. Okay, so you can be clear headed about your plan that you're about to put into place.
Right.
I always tell my clients, go clean up, because you cannot heal in a house that's full of clutter and
That's
dust.
right.
Go clean up, and then put you a plan in place. But don't stay there. That was my problem. 7 years old, bullied by a teacher. I stayed there until I was in my 30s. I have a whole lot I'm still unpacking. Okay? Just don't
Mhm.
stay there. Take the time you need to rest. Get you some rest. And then once you have gotten enough rest, get up, make a plan, and start executing the plan.
I love that. I love that. And I think, and I know I've said this several times during this live, but if you would take the time to journal, just like even if it's those moments of sadness, write it
Yeah,
down. Look at the pattern in your journals. If you see that it's lasting for an extended period of time, don't rush and like you said, don't let family members diagnose you. Don't try to diagnose yourself.
right.
But just notice that if you notice there's patterns, that's how you can care for yourself. Then you become aware of, things that may trigger you. I know when I'm tired. I know when depression is trying to set in on me. So I know what I need to do to counteract that. But that comes with time and experience, that you learn how to self-regulate and do those types of things. So don't just go by what family members may say. You have to look at the patterns, look at your life, look at the structure that you currently have set up for yourself. If it's causing you
Hmm.
stress, if it's causing you to be frustrated, whatever it is,
Yeah.
look at those things. Kind of keep a journal, keep track. Do it for 14 days.
Yes, that's
Journal
perfect.
for. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Doing it
And just
14
and
days.
look at that and see if there's some type of pattern. Be really detailed, the things that frustrate you, things that you get really irritated at. Because then you can go back and say, why was I so irritated? Why was I so frustrated with this? That those things begin to unlock. And then when you look at family members, I love it what you said, you just wrote down your family members, and then you see that these are pieces, those are all pieces of the puzzle that
Yeah.
make us who we are. We don't realize that those little pieces impact us, and they affect us and our attitude and our behavior and how we show up in the world. But they all play a role, and we have to look at those things. Um,
Absolutely.
and so,
I love
uh,
that. 14 days.
yes, that's it.
I love
So,
it.
it helps you to be mindful, but you want to
Hmm.
be mindful because, sometimes people will say things because they're experiencing those things, or like LaToya said, when you're doing well and you seem to have a really good grasp on, caring for yourself and taking time for yourself, they envy that. And so they want to try to pull you in. And so they want to plant these seeds of doubt. Now, it's your choice as to whether you feed that seed or not. You
Right.
know, now if you feed into it, then you will become that. But if you say, no, or I'm going to take the time to really look at that, then you make the decision whether that's something that stays or whether that's something that goes. So you
Right.
can either feed it or weed it. Like that's your choice at that point. But don't
That's
just
it.
take the person's word,
That's
at
it.
it. You got to be very careful, because what other people may think will work for you may not be the thing. I remember when I was going through my divorce, my mom was like, I think that I think maybe you need to, take some medication just to help keep you calm. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. That was a personal choice.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
personal choice. I didn't want to take medication anymore. I had done that for years. Every
Yeah.
medication that came out for anxiety and depression, I was on it. I was at the doctor saying, I want to try. Like, who goes to the doctor and does that? But that's where I was,
And
and I
some
had
people be
a
they're
decision.
there.
That's, yeah. So I
Yeah.
was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. You have to do what's best for you. If you feel like you need medication, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying it. I know what was best for me at that point because I had learned, to self-regulate and do those things. But if medication is what you need and works for you, then absolutely 1,000% do what you need to do until you can get to that place. But
Yeah.
don't go into it blindly.
Right.
Be
Right.
knowledgeable, do your research, and become knowledgeable about the medication, how it's affecting you, and those types of things. But also try to learn some skills so that you don't just become so dependent on that. That's,
That's
you just have to, be sure of that. Another person is asking, how do you cope with lack of family support when it comes to your mental health? I have amazing connections that support me in my mental health journey, but I still have moments where I wish I had that from my immediate family. We all do. We all
um
wish that we had our family support us.
I
But
I
go
can't
ahead.
really I can't answer it because I detached from mine. So I
There you
can't,
go.
I'm not gonna say that and make you feel
Right.
like, oh my God, I gotta no. That was my story because I could not heal in the same place that broke me.
That's good.
So no, I had to detach because when it comes to your mental and emotional health, it's life or death. Are we gonna remain
Literally.
associated with what is hindering us, or are we going to detach and live our lives and be at peace? That is the decision that I had to make. So I can't really say
Right.
cope with it because I'm not going to cope with it because I'm not going to be bothered with
And that's
it.
the answer right
You know
there.
what I'm saying?
Because it's a choice. Yeah, no, but that is the answer because it's a choice. You have to choose. You know what I'm saying? It's like you said, it's life or death. Do I
Yeah,
continue to be a part of this, or do I break away from my own for my life, because it is my
yeah,
life. My life literally depends on whether I stay connected or attached to this, you know. And I agree with you. You have to make that choice. We would, in a perfect world, we would love to have this and that and such and the other, but only you know what your truth is. You know what your current situation is. Even though you may desire to have that, you know understand that this is the journey that you're on. Maybe you're the trailblazer, that
that's
maybe
true.
when you go out and do the work, get whole, get healing, that you can then have impact and influence on family members. You can offer that perspective. Now, you can lead them to the water, but you can't make them drink. Like, you can't then spend the rest of your life trying to make them do something they don't want to do.
That's true.
But you've got to heal and be whole for yourself. You have to live your life for you. You only get one of these things called life. You
Hmm.
either spend your life trying to get healed enough to try to win acceptance from people that may or may not ever, or you can say, you know what, I'm going to live the life that I know God intended me to live. I'm going to live a life of being healthy, of being whole, of being at peace, not in pieces, that I'm going to have joy, that I'm going to learn to love, accept, respect, and appreciate myself first and foremost above anything and anybody else. Because when I can do all of those things, then that's what I attract into my life.
That's it.
You can spend your whole life chasing after them and their acceptance, and you're never happy. Because even if they do, they're going to raise the bar because it's going to be something that they're not going to be satisfied with. And you're still going to be chasing that ghost. It
Yeah.
has to be a choice. And you picked up on the word cope, and I think that that was perfect, LaToya, in you picking up on that word cope. You got a choice. You don't have to. No,
Mhm.
it's not written anywhere that you have to cope with it or deal with it or
You
accept
don't
it.
have to.
You have free will. You have a choice. You're grown. I know it's your family, and you can love them, but you can love them from afar, and it's
That's,
okay.
that's it.
It's
That's
okay.
it. Because
It's
if they haven't shown you that they're changing and seeking help, then they're just going to keep infecting the wound. Sorry, but
no,
that's
it's the truth. Oh,
my corner.
sorry.
That's me.
That's no, and that's why I love you, because you tell it like it is. You know, you either you to me, like I always, I always say, like, sometimes, it's like having a band-aid on a gunshot wound. And it's
Hello.
like you just keep showing it to them, and it's like you expect them to fix it. And the fact of the matter is that they're not. And you
They
got to go and
can't.
get the proper healing. They can't. They're incapable. They're
They
incapable of doing
can't.
it. It doesn't make them bad people. It's just that it's just not, it's just not for you. And so you're expecting something that they're incapable of giving you. So
Right.
you got to give it to yourself.
That's it.
You got to
Choose
give that
yourself.
gift to yourself. And so you have to accept it, even though it's a hard pill to swallow. You have to just accept it. It doesn't mean that it's going to always be like that.
Right.
But if it never changes, at least you can be in a place of peace with it and
That's it.
accept it and move on with your life and live your life. Don't hold your life up because you're waiting on somebody to accept you or embrace you. They may never get to that, and that's just the reality of it. And
Mhm.
you have to just be okay with that, um,
And be
and
careful
just
because
walk in it.
people will exploit you wanting to be accepted so much. People will
Oh
exploit.
yeah,
So their acceptance will come with conditions, and this across the board, not just family. This is
yep.
across the board. You got to be careful with wanting to be wanted by somebody so bad. Like be careful because people that has a sense.
It
People pick
does.
up on that sense, and if you're already like me, battling when I was battling depression, and then people using me and exploiting my good nature, that made me think further. So I just want to say, just be careful. Be
That's
careful.
good.
I know we came from these people. We were raised in the house. We all slept on the pallets, on the floor. We drank the
Come on.
Kool-Aid, ate the stage planks together, all that. But that
You're right. Like you said, you got to
got
be
to
careful,
detach
because it,
sometimes.
it does. Yeah, it
Can't bring
has
them
its,
with me.
and that's a weakness, and that's the weakness that people will prey upon,
Yeah,
because they'll smell the desperation. They smell the longing and the desire that you have, and they will prey upon it and take advantage of it, and then leave you completely empty and broken,
worse off than you were before.
much worse off
Much worse.
than what you were when you first started. So
Yeah.
please be mindful. This is why you got to look beyond. If you have supportive people, if you have supportive friends, still be careful and mindful of what you allow in your spirit, what you allow to affect you, because it can negatively affect you and infect you. So be careful with that still. But if you have a support system, embrace it.
Focus on them.
Allow them to help you to grow. Allow them to help you
Mhm.
develop and redirect your thinking. That it's happening for a reason. So be grateful that you have that. It might
Yeah,
not be your biological family, but to have that support is better than having nothing at all. You
that's
know,
right.
and you've got to learn to trust yourself. And you can get that type of um, you can learn to do that if you just invest in that time and invest in being around people that are building just like you. And so be grateful for the amazing connections that you have and the support that you have, and
Yeah.
continue to allow that to be something that feeds you in this season. As
Right.
you're continuing to make the decision on whether, what's going to feed you or what you're going to weed, you know,
Yeah.
be glad that you have that to feed you in this season and
Yeah.
that you're not just out there by yourself.
Focus
I
on
know that
who
you've been
is
on
and
for a little
not who's
bit,
not.
huh?
Focus on who is, not who's not.
You better. I hope you writing these down or putting like writing these on the tablets on your brain, because that's something you need. That's a tweet right there.
Okay.
That's a tweet right there.
I got this
That
phone
that
right here. Okay.
that's a
Let me.
whole post. That's a whole post, because that's true. It's little nuggets like that. That
Mhm.
throughout the day, those are things that you can tell yourself. To continue
Yeah.
to feed yourself with, to remind yourself as you're going through this journey. You're not
Yeah.
by yourself. Like, you gotta. Those are the split-second decisions that make the difference between choosing life over death.
That's it.
What, I'm going to keep walking alone in the dark, or I'm going to start walking towards the light, knowing that there are others just like me that are going through the same thing. Like, I get to make that choice minute by minute.
Yeah.
Um, I want to ask you this last question, and then we're going to wrap up, because I definitely want to let you just remind everybody how they can connect with you, follow you,
Okay.
all of those great things. Because if you are not following her, you're missing out. That's all I can tell you. You're definitely
Thank
missing out.
you.
If you're not reading the blog or listening to her podcast, you're definitely missing out, because the woman knows what she's talking about. And so I just want to ask you, I know we've talked about a lot of things, and I know we've even touched on this, but tell me why our mental health matters.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yay. Okay. I won't be long, I promise.
You can,
Why our mental health matters. This is why. Because our thoughts impact our emotions, and our emotions influence our behavior. So if your mental health is faulty, your emotions are dark, and so is your behavior.
come on.
You start thinking low level thoughts, you're going to make low level decisions because your mental health, the decisions you make in life is based on your mental health. Okay, how you perceive life, how you treat people, how you navigate through life, how you raise your children, how you are with your spouse. All of that comes back to your mental health. So
Mm.
it is very important that we maintain proper mental health. And if it's something that is a threat to your mental health, please, quickly.
Let me get the collection plate.
Okay.
Because listen, that's everything in a nutshell. This is a serious, serious topic. And the more that I see posts like LaToya's, and she and I have conversations, be it we text or email, um, things that we've talked about in the past, and just continuing to walk this journey. This mental health it's there are not enough words to just really describe how important it is. And I want you all to fight for your mental health daily. It's a daily fight. We have not arrived at this place that we are just, it's a struggle every day to just show up for ourselves
Mm-hmm.
every day, let
Mm-hmm.
alone for children, spouses, employers, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all this other stuff that we do, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's something. And
Yeah.
so I just hope that from this, that these are conversations that we continue to have, not just because it's, you know, mental health awareness month, but that it's an ongoing conversation, because there are so many people suffering. And for 2 years, I think a lot of people suffered in silence because we had no contact with anybody. We weren't really going out. We weren't really doing this and that. I think there was, probably some people, because Lord knows we wrote this book in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Um, so people were being productive and things, but there wasn't just the same type of context. So now people are starting to venture out. They're starting to go out. You've had all this time with yourself. You realize all these things and emotions and things that you're not dealing with. And we got to start dealing with it. It's time to stop running away from all of these things that have been plaguing you for years. It's the reason you can't have successful relationships. Why you're not able to step out in faith in that business venture, or pursue certain things. And I'm talking to myself when I say
Talk
this.
about it.
It's I have to talk to myself, like, why can't, if this person is doing it, why can't you do it? Like, but I can come up with 1,000 reasons why I can't, when I know that it's fear, that I'm letting fear come in, that I'm starting to tell myself you can't. Nothing else. LaToya had to flat out tell me, you dealing with imposter syndrome. I was like, yeah, I know.
Look, y'all, that's the
Did.
kind of coach I am, okay?
And that's the kind of coach she is. She called me on my stuff, and I was like, yeah, I did. And she was like, okay. But and that's what you need. Let somebody to talk about it, and let's deal with it, because there's too much greatness on the inside of you to let that type of foolishness take over.
Right.
So your mental health matters, because I could still be sitting here talking about, yeah, I really want to write this book and I really want to do this. And LaToya would be like, yeah, okay, I know. But because she pushed me, like, all I'm waiting on is my cover to be finished. And this thing is coming out.
That's
It's
it.
long overdue. It
Yeah.
needs to be done. I was letting fear come in. I was allowing myself to let this imposter syndrome turn into depression. That was getting ready to be a whole nother mess. So that's what I'm saying, all that to say it's a process. It's a part of so when you recognize those types of things, and you have good people in your corner to just say, yeah, that's a part of the healing process. That's all LaToya said. She was like, yeah, that's a part of the healing process. And I was like, oh, okay, now I know better. Like,
Yeah.
she was not gonna let me have a pity party. She real sweet, y'all, but she powerful and potent. I always tell her, like, she posts these things, and I'm like, you talking to me, but you doing it really sweet. But you hit me in my heart. Like, you didn't have to do me like that. You could have called me personally and said it. You didn't have to put it on Facebook for the world to see. But that's the type of person LaToya is, and it's a great thing. But I know it's because she's walked that walk. So she can talk the talk. She's got the credibility to go with it. So when she says it, I'm like, okay, well, she know, is she right? Like, how can I argue with her? That's what you need. And so that's why it's so important for you to take care of your mental health. It does not matter what you see on the outside of us. It's the work that we've taken great long hours, painstaking time. It's the inside that we've had to work on.
Yeah.
So what you see on the outside, like, that's nothing. It's the inner work that it has to take place. We can be, when you see us smiling and saying these encouraging things, I may not necessarily believe it in that moment, but I'm gonna get to a place that I do, because I gotta keep fighting. I have to fight for this up here. I
Yeah.
gotta fight to keep that sound mind every day. It's great that the Bible has told me that I have power, love, and a sound mind, but I gotta feed that every day. I gotta
Every
fight
day.
for that every day. And so I'm just saying, you gotta fight for it every day. Reach out. There are people that are willing to help you, included. She can help you organize your whole life, your house and your life, all
That's it.
together, all of it. And you have no excuse. I have to check myself sometimes. I'm like, I need to check my space. What's going on in my space? Is that causing a little bit of an issue for me? And if I see that, if I clean up a little bit, you know what? I do feel better. Invest in yourself, please. We invest in hair done, nails done, my bags, shoes, clothes. You making all the outside look pretty, but your insides are a hot mess. Invest in
Mm.
yourself a coach. Invest in doing a master class. Invest in yourself to get knowledge and understanding, to get the information that you need. Get the help that you need. Quit walking around like you got it all together and you know that deep down there are things that you desire to accomplish, there are things that you desire to do, you know, that there's a great life that you know that God has for you, but you keep, you know, getting stuck and making these excuses. Let someone help you get past that so you can walk boldly into what you know that you're called to do.
Right.
Do that for yourself. If you don't do anything else, that is the greatest gift that you can give yourself, is investing in yourself. Allowing somebody, we're not going to judge you, condemn you, criticize you, put you down. That's not our job. Our job is to take whatever it is that you give us, what you want to accomplish. Let's unpack that. Let's set some goals up. Let's
Mhm.
get deep into why these things are happening and get you on the path to realigning yourself with what you know you were intended to do.
That's it.
And
That's
you
it.
got, it's got to start at some point. You can't wait till you get this together or get that together. If you don't, you'll never start. Like LaToya said earlier, if I don't
Mm-mm.
do it, who's going to do it? And if you don't start now, when are you going to start? Because every week you can come up with an excuse not to invest in yourself, not to do
Right.
what you know you need to do to get your healing. The healing is for you. Okay, LaToya, I'm sorry. Please tell.
And Coach V has a master class coming out too, y'all. I think
I do.
that's a beautiful start right there. Working on your
It's,
personal development. She'll help you with your mindset and stagnancy. So yeah, I recommend investing in personal development. Absolutely. You want the
hey,
inside to be just as pretty as the outside.
that's it. Look, that need to be a book or a master class or something by itself. I need to write that down. And you know, and thank you for that, because I really think that the stagnancy, which people don't oftentimes realize, and that mindset, they really go together.
Hmm.
And so, you know, this master class that I do have coming up, I think it's a great start, because at least you can just kind of start to understand and
Right.
begin that transformation for yourself. And so I'll talk about that. Lord knows I'll probably end up going live tomorrow because I need to, yeah, really start talking about that, because it's really important. Just
Yeah.
the mindset and just your mental health is just so important. And I don't want it to be a message that we just do in seasons or because it's a month, you know, because we let stuff go by. Christmas will, right before we know it, Christmas will be here, the holidays, people struggle during the holidays. And so we
Yep.
really, I want people to be equipped and prepared on how to deal with those things, be connected to somebody, you know, that can help them. You know, if it's me, you know, any other coach that you know of that can help you through those things so that you don't spend another year, you know, or another day in something that you can begin to, you can begin to see the light. You can begin to
Yeah.
see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. That is, your life is not meant to be in darkness, you know. And
Absolutely.
so I want you to share with everybody how they can connect with you, how they can reach out to you, again, about your book, all of that good stuff.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and plug this. There's a community of us, the Coaches Connect. We put
Yeah.
out one book, and we're about to do another anthology together. So there's an entire community of us that can potentially help you. And we are. I'm going to. They're going to book right there. That's the first one. We're working on the second one now. So if you are a coach and you want to join us, you still have time. Um, we are going to start just having a mental health matters hour where the coaches connect and we come on and talk about different things concerning mental health. So you guys stay tuned for that. But I know Coach V was plugging my book, and you can see it back here behind me, Alone in the Dark. It is available on Amazon, and you can purchase the ebook or paperback. All I ask is y'all leave me a review, help an author out, okay? And leave a review. You can find me on Facebook. Type in author LaToya Nicole, and that's the page that I'm typically on the most. And then my other business page, Solo Coaching, SOLO Coaching and Consulting. That's how you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, Solo Coaching. On TikTok, it's I am underscore LaToya Nicole, and that's when I, doing all my little videos talking about different stuff. I talk about a lot of stuff. And then my podcast is called Tea and Talk with Toya. Now, let me just say this. The topics that I talk about is not everybody's cup of tea because I am exposing these toxic family dynamics that keep us stuck. So I just want to warn you before you go over there and be like, oh my God, these girls are talking about everything. Yeah, I'm talking about everything because I do believe that the best way to keep you out of the dark is to proclaim the
Absolutely.
knowledge. That's the best way.
Absolutely.
So those are the places where you guys can find me, but definitely my book is on Amazon. If you follow my Amazon profile, you'll be alerted whenever I publish new things. I have so many journals because I love Canva. Canva is very therapeutic for me. And I will get in there and create a cover after cover after cover after cover and upload journals. So I have a whole lot of journals if you want to check some of them out. Book is there. The Coaches Connect is there. And like I said again, we are gearing up for part two, volume two. It's called The Coaches Connect, a guide to navigating through adversity. So if you are a coach, if you are a counselor, a mentor, or motivational speaker, please reach out to me so I can get you signed up so you can be a part of that project. Coach V is in the first one and she knows the experience. So you guys are in for an experience with me as the visionary and facilitator.
And it was a phenomenal experience. I don't
Thank
know if
you.
I would have done it had it not been for her. When I tell you she is engaged, when I tell you that she provides information that you didn't know that you wanted or needed, you're gonna get it with Coach LaToya. Um,
Thank you.
I can't say enough about Coach LaToya, not just because I do consider her a friend and a sister, but her professionalism, her her honesty, her Latoya can be one of the biggest cheerleaders for you. She can see you. Latoya not gonna tell you something that she think you want to hear. She's not gonna agree with you to agree with you. If Latoya believes that you can do something, she's gonna tell you that. She's not gonna just tell you because she wants to try to get your money or this, that, such, and the third. If she really believes that you can do something, she's gonna push you in that area. And that is one thing that I can honestly say about Latoya. You can really be minding your business and think, okay, I'm trying to do it. Okay. But she got your whole life planned out.
I do.
And that's what I love about her. And so, you know, I told her that she's not gonna ever be able to get rid of me, that I'm gonna be constantly a pest, and forever be a client. That's like right, Latasha said, Coach Latoya is a phenomenal visionary and is.
Thank you.
Um,
Thanks, Coach.
she very much is. Vicky says she definitely makes you stretch and step out of your comfort zone. I'm so grateful for her, and
That's
it's
Miss Vicky.
it's big. Yeah. So, and that's true. So I am grateful to you. Thank you for just being who you are, being just authentic and genuine. I thank you for just your endless encouragement and support, believing in me when I just do not believe in myself, pushing me and seeing me as something that I am just like, okay, just come on. Like, really? I just appreciate that. When and I'm not trying to make you cry, but it really means a lot when you know that you have gifts, when you know that you are capable of doing certain things, but you are not, you haven't, you know, been able to meet the right people or be around the right people, or you find that people are more about themselves and stuff like that, than to run into somebody like you who is pure of heart and genuine and authentic, and you are so freaking selfless. You are so selfless. And so, as I know you, and just the journey that you've been on, for most people in their flesh would be like, you have every right to be selfish, be in it for yourself, you know, to take advantage of people. But the fact that you've allowed God to heal your heart and you are so giving and so open and you want to see others win is a blessing beyond blessing. And I know that God is going to continue to give you everything that your heart desires, everything that you desire for your daughter, because of your selflessness, because of your investment, because of what you continue to pour into people. God is going to give that back to you, and it's going to even extend to your daughter. You could set that example for her. Whatever the generational curse was, you are the generational blessing. And so from this point forward, everything attached to you, connected to your daughter from this point forward, is going to be blessed, LaToya, because of who you made a decision to become. Because it could have definitely been another way, but you chose to not only give to yourself, but you give to others so selflessly. Like the way that you do it is like it's nothing to you. And that is so, for me, that's so beautiful to observe all the time. Like to witness it, like
Mhm.
not to be a recipient of it, but to witness it. The way that you do that for other people. And it's just like, I just love seeing it, LaToya. I just think it's such a blessing. And you are a rare jewel. You really, 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 really are.
Thank you.
And I just thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to know you, to be associated with you, to be connected to you, all of those good things. I'm grateful. Thank you for just being on with me um, on today. It's your fault anyway. Just so you know, it's LaToya's fault that Transformative Talk with Coach B is even a thing, a podcast. All of that is LaToya's fault. But it's a good thing. And so I just thank you. That's not even sufficient. But I just honor you and I just celebrate you. Thank you for just who you are. You are phenomenal. And this, I know, is just the beginning. I'm be able to say I knew her when, you know, don't y'all mess with her. I knew her when. So I'm just amazed to just see, like, in just in the last couple of years. And you push me. So I'm like, she can do it, I can do it. Just thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. You
Thank
are
you.
you
Thank you
phenomenal.
for trusting my voice. That's the thing. And oh God, you got me crying on camera. I'm gonna
No,
lie.
thank you for trusting your voice.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for trusting your voice, because you're teaching the rest of us how to trust ours. And you're
Oh
teaching us
God.
how to trust, not only to trust our voice, but then to speak.
Yeah.
You continue to give us that boldness to speak and you know, to tell our truth,
Yeah.
our unaltered voices.
There you go. That's why I named it that. Unaltered voices. Tell your truth with no sugar on it.
That's it. Straight, no chaser.
Right. That's it.
And that's what you get. I know we've been on for a while, guys, but I thank you all so much for sticking with us. I think that this was a much needed conversation. I didn't
Yeah.
want to try to just, have it be so structured, because I wanted LaToya to really just express her heart, and talk about some things that we just need to talk about. And I knew that she was going to be a straight shooter and to say some things that may not be popular, but it's necessary in this day and time. It's
Yeah.
necessary. got to just say it like it needs to be said and not be worried about the repercussions because we're already suffering and already struggling. And so I just am grateful that you stuck with us, and I hope that there was something that was said that helps you provide some perspective. Feel free to reach out to either myself or LaToya. If you don't remember how to get in touch with her, feel free to just DM me and I'll make sure that you get in touch with her, and that you two connect. I hope that you guys will join me again on next week. We'll be a little early on next week. It'll be at 5 o'clock, but my guest will be Kenyatta McCoy Robertson. She and I are going to be talking about why our mental health matters. We're going to talk a little bit about her platform and why it's so important to stay focused. I love the things that she posts, and I just want to talk to her, and have her share with you guys. But until then, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the evening. Remember, today is a great day to be made new, and I'm always, always rooting for you. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, thank you all.